Hey people, Shaman Hawk here for Shamanic Lodge. You know, these social media platforms are pretty interesting from a shamanic point of view. It's a great tool for us to learn and observe the public by responses, by posts, and most importantly, comments, likes, and so on. And in some ways, it you can understand marketing. A lot of people really pay attention to social media platforms for marketing because they understand the conscious and subconscious of the people. But in the shamanic sense, we start to look at it, as how people are steered and how they the trending. What's trending now? That's what people are like. Oh, that's cool. Let me go see that. Learn about that. See what's going on, and just go through endless time scrolling. But it also gives you an opportunity to look at who's steering and in what direction they want to steer the people. And I do this by my own personal experience of how I get banned off, social media platforms. And I look at which subjects get tagged, which subjects get um, the attention of, violating guidelines. And now I've never said anything hateful or anything like that or, called for violence, nothing. All my stuff has been truth based or, as they say, conspiracy. And the only difference between the conspiracy theory and the truth is usually a little bit of time. So that's one degree. They said, "Oh, nope, that's not the official narrative. You violated the guidelines." Okay, okay. They let me back on a little while. But the one thing that they seem to have almost absolute zero tolerance for is when I share stories of the power of the mind. And I share stories about the healings that we've done through the energy healing circles when I've seen people just turn their death diagnosis right around, by changing their perspective, changing their diet, changing just simple things in life, even after the doctors and experts say, well, sorry, you're going to die soon. And when I talk about giving exercise of how people can strengthen this ability of awareness and how to affect, you know, um, actually bringing things into your life, that whole law of attraction, it's a horrible movie, I thought, and very vague at least. I mean, there's a lot of detail that you could kind of go with it, but they didn't give the complete picture. When I try to give the complete picture of how this works, it's like immediate shutdown, shadow banning. It's like, they don't want people to know anything about this stuff. They don't want anybody to come together. They bring people together to self empowerment. And see, they want you to bring people together to fit the narrative, to who to hate, who to rise up against, and all that. But when it comes to you coming together and rising up in your own manifestation abilities, oh, no, no, no. To heal yourself, oh, definitely not. To share the information and teach other people how to do the same thing, absolutely not. You domestic terrorist dude. Okay? God, it's so ridiculous. You know, back in the 1950s, I'm sure everybody's heard the phrase 100 monkey effect, and maybe you don't know what it is. If you do, great. If you don't, I'll give you a short version. So there were snow monkeys in this island in Japan, and they did these experiments. They go out and they give them sweet potatoes, and the monkeys love this, the raw sweet potatoes, but they didn't like the sand when the guy dumped them in the sand. So they eventually, some younger one, like a year and a half, they figured started washing it and then showed their mom and they showed some other ones and finally they're all like, oh, this is cool. You don't have to chew on the sand. You can eat the nice sweet potato. And they're not really sure the exact number, but they're going to say, okay, well, maybe it was like 99, 100. But finally, when the one critical mass of consciousness really grasped this idea and they put it into practice in everyday life, it's all of a sudden it just went boom. Everybody did it. It's like, whoa, okay. And so it became this collective critical mass of awareness that they just had. And so this went on for a couple of years until it hit this critical mass. And then they noticed something really interesting that islands around, that the monkeys couldn't get to, all of a sudden all of them were doing the same thing. So that critical mass of awareness went through the species consciousness. Now, people say, okay, you're comparing humans to monkeys. Well, when you really watch us, we're not that much different, you know. So, but the point is, you can do this. I mean, they've got molds or fungi or bacteriums that can solve and go through mazes and do all these other things. We really have to redefine what we think intelligence is, and redefine our version of consciousness, because I think we've outgrown the normal of it. Forget about redefining genders. Let's redefine consciousness. So the point I want to make is, now during this time, there's a special opportunity that's available for us right now as a species, as the human species, for us to engage in awareness critical mass and know other than what's on the social media platforms. Know what there's something bigger and better than the narrative that they're pushing. So I'm really trying to encourage people to leave your phone behind. Do the things that we did in my generation. It's okay to leave the house without your phone. All right, it's okay to, not have it on you all the time. We look at people when they're wearing those ankle bracelets, for the court system or whatever. Like, ooh, you got your LoJack on, But yet everybody does it anyway. They volunteer for it by putting their phone in their pocket or in their purse or in their hand. How many times do you see people just walking around with their phone in their hand? Like, put it down. Instead of looking down into it, go outside and look up. When's the last time you really just sit there and stared at the clouds? Put yourself on a time allowance. Time yourself how much you're scrolling, and use that much time to go outside. And if you don't have anything to look at, if you're in a city, just look up at the sky. Do something. Allow yourself to feel that difference. Okay, I promise you'll get something out of it. All right, but just try that. Because right now, the people who are running things, that tiny, tiny percentage of the population, they're really working hard, really, really hard, to keep you from looking anywhere other than the social media platforms. Yes, the one that I'm talking to you on. Let's do this, people. Let's shift this. Because it doesn't take that many. Because I've gone into regions that were really closed-minded, very, very dogmatic. I want to give a couple examples. Like Sedona, Arizona, a while back, Asheville, North Carolina, all that area through there used to be KKK territory, and now, I mean, it's probably the most open-minded places. That between the Casadega was another one, Taos, a lot of them. And I've gone into places within my lifetime too that were really closed-minded, but after we did a little work there and people really started to get it, it was like flash. Total change of consciousness within the communities that were very, very critical, dogmatic, violent even. So we can change the world in a really easy way just by the mass consciousness and awareness of desire to want the change, be committed to the change. And just by wanting it, if everybody says, yeah, it can be done, that little bit right there is like washing the sand off of your mind, just like the monkeys did the sand off that sweet potato. And we got to get the dust out of our minds. Got to unclog our minds a little bit so we can look at this and go, yeah, life can be sweet. I know that. I know that life was better than it is right now in the last couple years. Think about it. Let's all make the choice to go back to something like that. And then if we can go back to that, we know we can make it better because we want to, and we're going to work towards it every day. Catch you guys later.